David from PDI. This video is about training manuals, the training manual, and the printing of them. And a lot of people who have to consider the issues of whether they want to do these in-house or whether they want to outsource. PDI is an outsourced company, so I clearly have a bias. But I would say that printing in-house is right for some people. It could be to do with volumes, turnaround times. We'll say a little bit about that later. But it could be right for some people. But let's consider what the issues are between printing in-house and outsourcing. I guess fundamentally, we could argue over quality and we could discuss issues of timeliness, but it comes down to cost, doesn't it, really? So let's examine the costs that you're going to have if you're doing it internally versus outsourcing. Firstly, the paper itself, obviously. Actually, there's probably not a lot of difference. PDI does buy paper by the pallet load rather than by the box or the ream. But for standard products like an 80-gram paper, the difference in price is pretty small, I have to say, and probably wouldn't influence you. The next, of course, is you've got to actually print on it. Sometimes referred to as the click. An outsourced company will have a better click rate, a lower cost. Black and white, not huge, maybe 10 or 15%, but for colour it could be quite substantial. It could be more like 25, 30%. But that's not where the big benefit is. The big benefit is when you have a manual which has got both colour and black and white within it. Unless you're going to go to your multifunctional device, print the black and white pages, then print the colour pages and spend time sorting them out, putting the colour into the black and white, then you're going to end up effectively being charged for colour throughout. The outsourced company, ourselves included, have some very clever software on the front of our production machines that can separate out the black and the colour so that it can be done at the same time, and we don't spend hours sorting pages out. The machines and the software does it automatically. The other thing a production machine can do, which you may have difficulty, is to do with the subject of bleed. So bleed, what do I mean by that? So here's something where the colour goes right to the very edge. It bleeds in the printing term. How do you do that? On a standard multifunctional device, your office machine, indeed all machines, will always leave a 2mm white gap all the way around it. So I don't know whether you can see that, but what we're doing is we're using an oversized piece of paper, and there are crop marks on there, which allows us to print oversize and then cut down so that you can achieve bleed. Can you do that in-house? Yes, of course you can do that in-house, but it's very fiddly. So if you want bleed on your manual, there's one with bleed on the cover, you really need to consider outsource. But we're talking about costs. We talk about paper, we talk about the click. The next one is the capital itself. What do I mean by the capital? The cost of the machine. Whether that machine, that multifunctional device, has been bought outright or more commonly is on a lease, that's a fixed cost. You're going to pay that fixed cost whether you're using the machine or not. So it's all to do with utilization. And the thing about an outsourced company, commercial printer, is that we look at utilization and we're running the machines all the time. So although our machines are much more expensive, the cost per manual is much lower for the machine because we get very high utilization. And we get high utilization because we've got multiple customers. But you also need to consider, if you've got a multifunctional device sat in the corner there, are you using it all the time, or are you only using it on a Thursday afternoon? Because you're paying for it all the time. And as well as the weekly utilization, this is the training industry. August, December, you're not going to use the machine at all, but you're still going to be paying the monthly or quarterly lease costs. Still on the machine, of course, the other thing you might want to consider is machine breakdowns. And if you've got a single multifunctional device and it breaks down on you, you're scuppered. Most companies will do a 4-hour call out for an engineer, 4 hours going on 6 or 8 business hours, and that might actually be enough to get you into real trouble. An outsourcing company, yeah, we have machine breakdowns, Of course we have machine breakdowns, but we've also got multiple machines. And because we've got multiple machines, we're in a position whereby if one goes down, we've still got the ability to do it elsewhere. Final thought, finishing. A small wire-row machine, you could do that in-house. So if it's a simple wire-row or putting it into a ring binder, then you can do that in-house. No problems at all. What you might have difficulty doing is something like that. This is what's termed a perfect bound book, a paperback book. Highly unlikely that you'll be able to do that in-house, but commercial companies can do that. The other thing that we can do, which you will really struggle to do in-house, choose this one. Don't know whether you can see that. There are what's termed tab sets that divide up the manual. This is quite a chunky manual, and therefore the tab sets divide up the reading and help in the training course, which what you will notice is they're printed. So you say, I could print them with difficulty, firstly because of the direction of the print, that's possible, but also the size of the tab set. If you can see that, the individual tab is oversized A4. It's an A4 plus a bit because it's got to be wider to come out and has got the tab on it as well. And we can print on the tabs, we can also print on this part of it. And tab sets are something that you really are going to require an outsourced company to do if that's part of your manual. If it's not, then clearly it's irrelevant. But it's a consideration that most companies go through. And if you want to chat through your issues and share it, then I'm more than happy to do that because it does come down to individual circumstances. Thank you very much.